when they realize, oh, that you're right, eventually someone's
Yeah.
gonna go, you should probably let this guy at the table because like he's been right every time.
It's tough though. It's real easy to be like, I told you this wouldn't work. And look, it didn't. Trust is the name of the game. Somebody not taking your recommendation and it actually not working like you said it wouldn't is a trust building moment. Somebody asked me when I first moved there, how do you feel like with so many people in the room or the audience being so big? I was just like, I'm just trying to do production at the best level I can. And I don't care how many people are in the room. So I feel as much pressure on that as I do, some of the bigger events that were happening at Willow Creek.
That's been one of the things I've been trying to coach young people on, like bringing them solutions. And I think in the tech world, like that's huge. Like, all right, identify a problem, bring a solution. Don't just be bringing the problem.
Yeah, it's easy to point out a problem.
Right.
I mean, my grandma can tell you when something went wrong in the service,
when it doesn't sound
mic's
good.
not on or whatever.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Enhance Don't Distract. On today's episode, we have Todd Elliott on with Jordan and I. And man, Todd has been a big inspiration over the last year for me. Wrote I Hate Christmas, But I Love Jesus. It's a great book. We talk everything about being a technical artist to how to function with leadership and volunteers to sports, because he is a Michigan native like I am and Jordan is. Well, Jordan's from Chicago. It's kind of funny. Jordan and Todd kind of swapped roles. Jordan's from Chicago and he lives in Michigan, and Todd's from Michigan and he lives in Chicago. So it's kind of a really fun interaction that we had there for a few minutes. Super excited. It was great. It was fun. Make sure you go get his book. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. And if there's anyone you want us to talk to, please throw that in the comments so that we can get that on the books. There's not really anything else for me to say, so let's get into the interview. Todd, thanks so much for coming on. Like I said earlier, we really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I know you have a Michigan background, and it's actually
Yes.
kind of funny. My sister actually goes to Kensington over there.
Oh, dang. Okay.
And so it was really fun, like as I was reading through the book, to hear that. And I was like, oh, I'm like, that's cool. Can you just kind of give us some of your background, like how you got started, kind of what's going on there?
I was a high school kid. I got involved in doing production at my school and at my church, and, just loved it. And I thought, oh, God, it would be great to do this, for a living, but I don't know anybody who does that. And, definitely not at a church. And so I went to college, to get my engineering degree. So, went to Auburn University, got an industrial engineering degree. Along the way, I felt I would go back home and volunteer at my church. Somewhere while I was in college, Kensington Community Church started, which is in Troy, Michigan. And so I was like all in, volunteering nights and weekends. My summer job, I'd work all day and then go to the church office and, put together slideshows, like with actual slides. I loved it. And I thought, man, if I could do something here, that would be amazing. Still not really sure that could happen. But I somewhere in maybe my sophomore, junior year in college, I was eating lunch alone in my apartment, and I was listening to Amy Grant, and the album was "Lead Me On." So this is like late '80s, I guess, early '90s. Anyway, I was listening to the mix and the production and all that stuff, and just all sounded so amazing to me. And I thought, oh man, if I could do that, that would be awesome. And so again, don't know how to do that, but just felt like it was a moment where God was like, this engineering idea, that's okay, but really there's something else for you. And so in that moment, I was like, I'm going to go after this somehow. And so, in the process of volunteering and doing stuff at Kensington for the first couple of years that church was around, when I graduated, I ended up getting a job there, doing everything. So it was a portable church, meeting in a high school. I was doing everything from planning services, transcribing music for the band, doing some audio stuff, driving semi trucks full of gear back and forth. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. And so did I have any training for it? No. Although I would have to say that in the world of industrial engineering, running a portable church is like a story problem. It's like how do you efficiently set up and tear down something with people who have no idea what they're doing? Just volunteers who know nothing about production. How do you do that most efficiently? So, that was sort of how I got started. And I don't know how much of the story you want, but I was there for about 11 years. I was on staff at Kensington Church. So grew from, I was the only production person. And even at that, I was like a third or quarter time production person. I was doing so many other things. We had our own building. I had a staff of about 12, I think, by the time I left there in the year 2003, when I came over to Willow Creek Church in Chicago. Was there for about 11 years.
Is that a small church or a big church?
Oh, that's I don't know if you've heard of the term mega church, but I think that's where it gets.
I think they defined it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. I got a lot of stories from that place. I got a lot of stories from Kensington too. I mean, frankly, we were talking before recording that that I wrote a book, and that so much of what's in that book I learned at Kensington. And when I moved to Chicago, working at Willow Creek, I'm like, these people need this too. This is not just unique to Kensington.
Yeah.
And so, I loved my time there in Michigan, and I'm from there originally. So, it was home for a long, long time. And I love those people.
Do you still consider yourself a Michigander or?
Oh, yes.
Have you dropped
definitely.
that title?
Nope. No. When people ask me, oh, do you like the Bears? I'm like, no, I root for the Lions. And that was even when they were bad.
Right
rooting for the Lions. Same with the Tigers and the Red Wings and all that stuff. So, I mean, I'm happy for Chicago teams, but.
Hey, we're all winning right now.
That's right.
All the Detroit teams.
Oh, I thought you meant like all like Detroit and Chicago. I'm like,
no. I mean,
Chicago
Bears are winning because they got our coordinator.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Matt Johnson is now the head coach of the Bears.
Yeah. Offensive coordinator.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. Anyway,
just derailing us. Sports talk.
I'm just not a sports guy. It's just so funny.
Yeah. I'm not a huge sports person either. I mean, my sports growing up was reading a book in my room while I could hear my dad yelling at the TV in the basement. I mean, that's pretty much my experience.
See, and that's really funny too, because like my dad was never into sports, so like I didn't get into sports until I was like in my mid-20s. So I just like went all in though.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Fantasy sports is what really got me in, because it's like the analytics are really fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah,
I've heard that before.
Yeah. I'm a big soccer fan now. That's what I spend most of my sports time watching.
We're getting a pro team here in Grand Rapids in a couple of years.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They're.
I saw the DeVos Dome or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty stoked about that too. I lived in Orlando for a little bit, and like they got their team right as I was leaving, and it was like all my friends were going, and they're like, "It's the best time in the world," and I'm like, "Dang it!"
Yeah, it's so much fun. Yeah.
So.
Anyway, and then I was at Willow Creek for 11 years, and I've been doing this Philo thing I'm on year 11.
Just the small Philo thing.
Not a big deal.
Yeah.
So, and we'll talk about Philo in a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that's a major thing.
Yeah.
Not a small little thing. That's what we're trying to
do. It's a big deal.
Yep. One of the things I think I heard this actually from Andrew Stone years ago. I learned this from him is churches, no matter the size, are trying to do the same thing at different scales.
Yeah.
Obviously, talking to Andrew, Church on the Move, that's doing it at a different scale than somebody's local church, a listener's local church, smaller church. Do you find that to be true as well, or has that been your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the big eye opener for me, was coming from Kensington, which by the time I left was not a small place.
Yeah.
Many thousands of people, a couple campuses, and then moving to Willow Creek, which on one hand, couldn't be any bigger.
They have a waterfall in their lobby.
Yeah, right, like 15,000 people on a weekend or whatever. Yeah. And it felt exactly the same to me. Somebody asked me when I first moved there, how do you feel like with so many people in the room or the audience being so big? I was just like, I'm just trying to do production at the best level I can. And I don't care how many people are in the room. So it could be 158 and a couple of speakers on sticks. I feel as much pressure on that as I do, some of the the bigger events that were happening at Willow Creek. So
Yeah.
I feel like like I said earlier, so much of what I learned and my instincts all came from Kensington. And that was, and I would even say that was so much of that was portable church era.
Yeah.
The only thing that's different is scale. Like your budget,
Yes.
my budget, it's zeros. That's it. You need, 10 new park cans. I need 100 to do the same thing, so I still can't afford them either. Do park cans even exist? I don't know. That's
LED ones.
Old reference. Yeah. Right.
Yep. It's just funny because like I remember there's that Facebook group, that church tech, Facebook group, and there's like 80,000 people in there. And someone had from one of the bigger churches had posted about like a new system that they'd gotten, and someone had commented like, "Well, I wish we had money to do a new system like that." And it was a guy from Gateway in Texas, which obviously is like he was the one that had posted the new system, and so someone was commenting on his post, and he's like, "Well, listen, but our size, if I have a $300,000 a year budget, and we have 30,000 people that go to our church, and you have 3,000 people that go to your church, you're not going to have a $300,000 a year budget. You're going to have probably like a $30,000 budget. And if you have 100 people, right? He's like, that scales, right? Yep. So it's like what we're trying to do up here for the 30,000 people obviously comes with more money than the 100-person church. And so the same thought process. And I kind of did the reverse. I was at, a church of like 6,000 or 7,000 people. That's where I grew up. I volunteered there my entire life, was on staff, and then left and went to a 40, 50 person church and got on production there and was like, yeah, this is pretty much the same thing. Just, not maybe scale. As pressure.
Yeah. I mean, to do production well, it doesn't matter how big the system is or how many people are in the room. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but so much of production are the transitions happening right? Are the mics on when they're supposed to be? I mean, there's so much that, I find that gets dropped. Well, of course you don't have a bigger system because you can't handle the small details around your own.
You say this really well, and actually, I have a bunch of quotes that I collect, and this made it in the list. So,
all right,
yeah. There's no award, there's no trophy in the mail, but yeah.
Unless you really need one, I can make one and send it to you.
Yeah, we can. Yeah. But you say the basics matter. Small details are important. Amazing the sum of the mundane. And I read that and I was like, that's it. Like it is.
Yeah.
Hey, did you check the batteries are working? No. Okay, go do it.
Yeah. Right.
Did you check PCO? A few days before? No. Okay, go do it.
Yeah.
Did you check with the pastor? Is there anything else he's missing? No. Okay, go do it. So
yeah.
And I think that rang true for me because when I was at the church, the college ministry, when I took over, we wanted to start live streaming, and I was like, oh man, we can't even make it through a service without 7 poor transitions or not a transition at all. I was like, our PA slides don't make any sense. None of them look the same. There's no lighting scheme because I don't know what worship songs you're doing until 10 minutes before practice. I'm like, there's all these things that there's just, what's
wait, and this was at a mega church?
Yeah. What's the sermon title? Okay. What? You want me to put scriptures in? Well, we're 3/4 the way through the 3rd song. You're up in 6 minutes, right? Maybe we should figure out how to make our service flow well before we add another production element onto the thing. And luckily the pastor that had, because he had never been a pastor at the time, it was a new thing for him for that ministry. And he was like, he's like, totally, that makes sense. So we spent the next 6 months ironing out all those details and got all those transitions. As obviously there's always failures, but we got a lot of those ironed out. So it's everyone on the team knew exactly what was going on. And that was one of the things that we did do is we did full team meetings with the greeters all the way to the worship team. Everyone knew what every transition in the service was. So they just knew where they were. So that's when the ushers needed to get up to go get the offering buckets, they knew, this thing is happening. I'm next. Right.
Yeah. Right.
And so it just made that flow really, really well, which then when we integrated the video, it just made that integration that much smoother.
Right. I feel to me, there's so much about that taking care of the mundane details that really nobody else cares about until they go wrong. But if you can't do those things, you're not invited to the party. Like you have to crush those things in order to be invited to more and to invited to bigger, or, larger systems or bigger budgets, or, it's like, it's the whole, verses in the Bible about, being entrusted with little.
Yes.
If you can't be entrusted with the little you have, you're not going to get more. And so, I see it play out all the time in the world of production.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Some of those things are boring to do, but if the video doesn't play right because you forgot to check it, like that's
Or if the video is
why would I trust you
30
with
dB louder than the music that you just played?
Right. Yeah. Why would I trust you with something, bigger than that? So,
Yeah.
And again, you say this in the book as well, which I so appreciate, but that's our domain. Like that is, like that is not the youth pastor's responsibility. That's not necessarily the worship's
why we're there.
responsibility. Yeah. That's in our area, our turf. So,
yeah.
Todd, you referred to us as technical artists through this entire book. And I wanted to ask the question of how do you feel that, I guess this is a twofold question for yourself, and then when you go in and talk with other people, what did it do in your head when you went from I'm just a tech guy pushing buttons to I'm a technical artist, to your actual thought process, and then having other people like pastors and worship leaders realize, oh, these guys are artists as well. Because I mean, I think we all have some story of you're just here to push buttons and move faders, and you're here to serve, and that's it. Type thought process. So what have you seen, and how did that affect you to make you kind of push into Philo and stuff?
I talk about it in the book. It was a meeting where we were trying to come up with a mission statement for our team, and I remember it was something like I had worked really hard on values and mission and all this stuff, and when you boil it all down, the mission statement was something like, "Don't distract people," or something like that. "Don't cause distractions." And one guy in the meeting's like, I don't want to. I don't want to get out of bed for that. That's not what I do. I don't think of it that way. I think about, that we're all a part of bringing our piece of art to the table to combine with other people to make something. And that was that was a hard meeting to be in for myself, but everybody else who was in the meeting was like super awkward. You could imagine we were like fighting about the words, but it just totally changed how I thought about my own role. Like I know I wouldn't call myself an artist in the traditional sense, so there are other people doing art and I'm just here to support it. But the reality is that, okay, if I'm not doing the basics right, the mundane that we were talking about earlier, I got no business calling myself an artist. That's just the price to show up to participate as an artist. But then to bring my creativity and problem solving skills as a tech person to the table, it puts me in the same category as a dancer, a vocalist, a musician, that we're all combining our art forms together to make one giant thing together. And so for me, it changed how I thought about myself and it changed how I led teams of people to do this together. That, to create a service, it's a collaboration between art forms and we all need to show up fully. And I think, I have one friend who's really amazing at making cables. That's his kind of specialty. That's his art form. You don't want me anywhere near that soldering iron because we'll just be back fixing them later. But that we all have a unique part to play, and it's more than just pushing buttons. Yeah, are we pushing buttons? Absolutely. But knowing when, how hard to push those buttons, that's where the kind of the art form comes into play. And I guess for me, how that translates to kind of Philo and what we talk about there, with everything we do. And, it's a big part of the book. It's a way of thinking that I spent a lot of years just considering myself a button pusher. I'm just here to serve your needs.
Yep.
And so what it meant for me was my needs don't matter. Whatever you want to do, I need to support. I spent a lot of time just saying yes to everything. And because I felt like, I'm here to serve. That's what my role is.
Yeah.
Instead of, no, I'm showing up with, there are constraints and, money constraints, people constraints, time constraints, my own time. And so we need to work within those to help create this idea that you're talking about. And that's way more healthy for a team to function, is that, maybe I've already said it. I never consider my time to be like a resource to be managed. Just like I've got it all and you can have it all. And I think, if you're single, that's one thing. If you got a family, that just doesn't work. And so the idea of being an artist sort of played into this idea of, my time is as valuable as anybody else's. And if I'm an artist and you're an artist and you're an artist and we're coming together to make something together, maybe you're the artist with the initial idea and I'm the artist that's going to execute that idea. We got to work it out because you're creating an idea without knowing how to execute it. And I need to understand the idea more to execute it, the way it needs to be. And, we need to work together. And so that, to me, that thinking of myself as an artist helped me feel great about sitting at the table instead of just saying, those are the creatives are over there doing their thing. And I'm over here doing my thing, serving their creative ideas. Yeah. No, we're all at the table together. Maybe, totally different capacities, but at the table nonetheless.
I hear this from younger technical artists. They can't get a seat at the table. They can't get a voice in the conversation.
How so?
Because they're not an artist, because they're
like to the worship team or to the pastor or whatever. Okay.
Like whatever the conversation is. Hey, what we're doing for Easter.
Okay.
A conversation for the budget.
Yeah.
Hey, how are we, who's the next integrator we're going to bring in?
Yeah.
What might you say to them? Or
I think I could just speak for myself and how I
or how have you gotten a seat at those tables?
How I was asked to leave my seat at the table so many times. Basically, the creative process, budgeting process, what we're doing for Christmas, what we're doing this weekend, all those conversations, I'm wired up to solve a problem. And so if you ask me to that table, I had to learn how to just relax and not chime in too soon, because if you have ideas, I'm there to tell you why they're not going to work. And so, if we're trying to come up with what is Christmas going to be, okay, let's just ask Todd not to come back next week's meeting until we figure this out. And so I think I just needed to learn timing on when the plane's landing. Okay, now it's time to start interjecting. And it's more about, I also learned this the hard way, just to say that idea won't work. And this is why, to be coming at it from okay, how could we make this work?
Yeah.
And so, we could rent the gear, we could, hire a crew to do X, Y, Z, or, we just need an extra month, whatever the things are, to show up to the table with that kind of information. And by the way, this is my favorite option of the three, like that. I show up as a team player then, instead of just, I'm shooting your ideas down. Yeah. Cause I spent a lot of time showing up to those meetings thinking that, well, whatever ideas are coming at me, I have to do them with the people I have, the time I have, the resources I have, instead of, if they're blue sky in this, I'm going to do it too. Yeah. We need an SD10. We need a, whatever the things are, I'll put mine on the table too. And then, we can't afford that. All right, now let's talk about how do we alter the idea to make it fit in with our resources?
Yeah.
And that becomes a collaboration team sport instead of me just saying no. And I have to say, it's some of my favorite memories are getting down to the kind of okay, we can't afford your idea, but
Yes.
what if we strip away all the technology that you've kind of piled into your idea?
Yeah.
What is the core
Yep.
of the idea?
What's the elevator
And
pitch?
let's brainstorm on how could we get to that in a different way. And so I think that showing up with those kinds of attitudes, that's how you get a seat at the table. Because like I said, I got uninvited to a lot of meetings because I couldn't learn how to read the room, figure out when it's time to speak up. Because when people are just spitballing ideas, they don't need somebody telling them that they're all bad. Anyway, I don't know if that answered your question, but
no, I think it does.
does.
And I think that like the way that I look at that as well is like now, because you're not just that negative Nancy, like when they realize, oh, that you're right, even if they like ignore what you say and they go,
right.
Yeah, he was right. Oh, he was right. Oh, he was
yeah.
right. Oh, he was right. Right. Eventually someone's gonna go, we should probably let this guy at the table because like he's been right every time, or a majority of the time, or whatever,
I think it's tough though, especially if you're young and you're kind of always poking holes in people's theories. It's real easy to be like, I told you this wouldn't work, and look, it didn't. To restrain yourself from just like because for me, trust is the name of the game, and somebody not taking your recommendation and it actually not working like you said it wouldn't is a trust building moment.
Right.
If you don't blow it with, I told you so. It's another data point for people to say, oh, they said it wasn't going to work and it didn't. Yeah. Like you said, maybe I should listen next time.
My response is usually like, well, we live and we learn, right?
Yeah.
Passive aggressive.
No, I mean, like when someone's like, well, you were right. I was like, well, we live and we learn. We'll figure it out next time. Right.
Yeah. Right.
So it's like, I mean, how else are you supposed to respond to that? Like, oh no, I was totally wrong. I mean, like it's clearly.
Well, the other gifting we have to work on for tech artists is the gift of sarcasm. We gotta,
I mean, it is a spiritual gift, so not everyone
dial
gets
it down.
It's all about timing than it is
timing
when
and
to use it,
sarcasm,
when not to.
Yeah.
It's like is it Ecclesiastes? There's a time for everything under heaven.
Mm-hmm.
There's a time for sarcasm and a time to keep your mouth shut.
There definitely is, and you have to learn when to stop.
Oh man.
And that's a hard one.
I've learned with my wife, it's never a good idea.
My wife and kids have had to learn my sarcasm. And
just be careful they listen to this podcast.
Now my second oldest definitely now has my sarcasm.
Okay.
And my wife's like, you created this.
And that is not sarcasm.
No.
Yeah.
She's like, this is your own doing. Like, sorry. I'm sorry. And then I'm like completely off my train of thought here.
I'm just here for the laughs.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I think my next question, you mind if we just kind of pick your brain? Hey, we got a bunch of these.
Totally,
I think, the majority of this podcast is to church, like 101 people for the most part.
Sure. Right.
I want to be able to give those people either a way to hand their leadership a video of our podcast and say, hey, this is what I've been trying to ask you and I didn't know how to, or like, listen, it's not just me. These guys are saying the same thing, to try and like kind of help bridge some of those gaps and potentially, even go, hey, listen, like your pastor's right. You can't, kind of do this. So what, I think the spiritual health of our teams is something that for some reason gets forgotten about. And I don't think that that's an intentional thing. I think it's just like we're kind of seen as a tool because we technically are in these, type of thought processes. And I remember there was a point in time when I was on staff at the church where I was like, I genuinely think that I've only sat in service with my wife twice in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a problem. And it was like, how can we solve that? And then I wasn't there for much longer after that. So we never really solved that problem while I was there. So I don't know if they've done that. But my question to you would be is, especially when it comes to smaller churches where there may be only one volunteer that's there every single Sunday, how does that person, A, not get burnt out, but also sit in and actually like focus, get fed, be with their spouse type thought process? What do you tell people in those scenarios?
I mean, honestly, I'll just speak for myself. Sitting in church is hard. It's hard to do.
Yep.
It's hard to turn that gear off, you know?
Not wrong.
And so that's nobody's responsibility but my own. So
my wife joked with her parents when we walked into her church her parents' church for the first time. She's like, watch, we're going to walk in. He's going to look into the ceiling. And I walked in. I was like, and her parents just started laughing. They're like, what is he doing? She's like, looking at the sound system, probably looking around for access points.
Right. Yeah.
Guilty.
Oh man. Yeah. It's so true. I can't. And I would say too, on one hand, I spent a lot of years fighting that, you know, like my wife and I would go to a show or something and I would go talk to the front of house engineer. And she, you know, after a while knew that I've given 5 minutes to go talk to the guys, you know, and just see what's up. And then he'll be back. But I think I guess just to address can you sit in church and get something out of it? I think that's a spiritual state of mind that we all need to work on getting ourselves to. So I would say, I'm just thinking about a time visiting my in-laws, and my father-in-law was like, oh man, I'm so excited for you to come to our church and for you to meet all the people. And I'm just like, it's going to be awful production wise. I just know it. And so, but I'm going not for the production, I'm going for my father-in-law. And so driving there the whole time, I'm just kind of praying to myself, God, just help me get over it. Help me get over it. And I want to say it was one of the most memorable church services I'd been to. Because I had shifted my own thinking before getting there. Was the production bad? Yes. But it didn't matter. But by the time I got there, I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm not here for that. And so I think that's a challenge for all of us. Now, the other part of it is, you know, your church giving you a day off is the other challenge so that you can actually do it. I think that's a harder one to answer. So maybe I'm going to put it back on the people who are trying to get a weekend off. I think it's important to build a process that allows for it. So to be training people constantly so that when it's time to take a weekend off, you can. To have a goal to say once a quarter, I'm going to sit with my wife in church or my husband. And so now I have something to shoot for. You know, I know how much recruiting I need to do and how much training. And I think it's important to engage the leaders of your church. So your direct boss or the person you report to, if you're a volunteer, to say, hey, I'd like to shoot for this as a goal. And I would like your blessing to build the team in such a way that it can happen. And I also need your blessing to know that on the weekends I'm not around, that that we might take a dip, you know, in excellence, but it's not 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, or 3 steps back. It's just 1 step back that we need to be building into our team in this way. I mean, I think most churches, if not all churches, should function with a huge contingent of volunteers. And that only happens if we create a system and a process for training them and equipping them and giving them the tools to step in when we're not there. I just think it's how it should be, even when we are there. Like that, you know, we used to talk about it at Willow Creek, you know, work yourself out of a job. And I think at Willow Creek, that was maybe wishful thinking. But I think now, going back there, it's total. That's the mechanism they're using. Like we need to fill all these seats with volunteers. And so we need to think about excellence differently, which is, we're developing disciples or developing people, not just having the most perfect service we can pay for. So.
Yeah, that idea of excellence, people tend to think that means perfection. And I think it's like, I don't expect perfection. I expect your all, right?
Yeah.
And I expect you to be able to learn, right? To become
do
better.
Your best.
Right.
Yeah.
Do your best. Like that's excellence in my head. And that doesn't mean that every single camera shot is perfect. Every single transition is nailed. Right.
Yeah.
You know,
to me, it feels like if we're making mistakes along the way, that we're talking about them and getting better from them.
Yeah.
And so, we're not making those same mistakes next week because we learned about them. I mean, I guess maybe thinking back on the, if you're the only volunteer and how do you get a weekend off, that I think it goes back a little bit to our conversation earlier about the idea of being, for me, that mind shift of I'm not just here to serve. If that's the case, then I'm never having a weekend off.
Right.
But if I'm an artist, I'm a part of what God's doing here with a group of people. I don't think I pretty much guarantee God did not intend us to fit in the body of Christ for a short amount of time and then fry ourselves. I just don't think that's the idea. So there has to be a way for us to do this long term. And part of it is, let's go back to the small church with one volunteer. The senior pastor has no idea the hours that volunteer is putting in. Yeah. I mean, heck, you can go to any size church. That's the case. No senior pastor knows how much it takes. Yep. And every senior pastor wants that volunteer to have a great serving experience. I think without question. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They also want you to sit with your spouse once a quarter. They also have no idea how to achieve that. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like, there's definitely a church culture piece here that we're talking about, but there's also a lot of education on your part to your leaders. Mm. If you're a volunteer, like I'm working 50 hours at work, I'm working 50 hours here. I never have a weekend off. That's good information, but and here's my plan to how I can get one weekend off a month. I think that there's a book that I read. Jack Welch, who was the chairman of General Electric for years. Mm-hmm. He wrote a book, and in the book he said, your boss wants you to live a balanced life, but they want you to figure it out. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to do it for you, but they want you to have it. And I think that's the case for any senior pastor. Nobody wants to burn out, because you just think about, you burn out, now we got to find somebody new. We got to train somebody new. There's like a whole process of things there that nobody's got time for. So instead of that, let's figure out how to give you a weekend off a month.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, yeah. And that's, as I think about like kind of leading up, and that's been one of the things I've been trying to coach young people on, and some interactions I've had, is like bringing them solutions. And I think in the tech world, like that's huge. Like, all right, identify a problem, bring a solution. Don't just be bringing the problem.
Right.
But also just be bringing a solution, realistic, that's actionable.
Yeah. It's easy to point out a problem. Right. I mean, my grandma can tell you when something went wrong in the service, when
it doesn't sound
mic's
good,
not on or whatever.
Oh my gosh. I went to I went to a pastor's conference one time, and
your grandma was there?
No.
Okay.
One of the tech guys was becoming a pastor. So he was like being more involved in the pastoral side. And so he got up in front of everyone and was like, hey, so like we're in a environment that's not our environment. We've set all this up. We set it all up yesterday. If it's inevitable when some part of the tech fails, it does not speed things up for you to turn around and look at the AV guys.
Yeah.
So if you guys could refrain from turning around and staring at the AV guys while they diligently fix the problem, that would be awesome. And I just remember cracking up when he said that.
It'd actually be a really fun exercise, is to like, we're going to practice right now, and like have feedback happen, or the lights go out or something. And just like, I saw you turn around. Yeah, you're disqualified. It could be like a game.
Oh my God.
Simon says turn around.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So how does that go over at Philo when there's a problem? Does like the entire audience go, I'll fix it for you?
Oh, yeah.
I think you guys have called it out sometimes. Like, hey, just, do you guys intentionally mess up? Just to like get it out of the way. Like,
No.
Yep, that light that didn't fire. Okay, everybody, we all saw that.
I couldn't imagine any tech person being okay. That's like, okay, sorry, I'm going to come back to sports. So there's a game against the Chicago Bears that the Lions played this year. And Ben Johnson came to Jared Goff and said, do you think you could actually intentionally fumble the football, recover it, and then throw a touchdown? And Jared's like, no, I can't do that. So they decided that they landed on he would just stumble like he like tripped and then threw the touchdown. I couldn't imagine any tech guy going, you know what? I could intentionally mess up. Pretty hardcore if you wanted me to and be totally okay with it.
Yep. Yeah. But see, versus the Bears, I believe that. So,
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think the challenge with the Philo audience is that, everybody's looking in the ceiling. And everybody's got an opinion and everybody could mix it better. And, everybody would do the camera shots better. I mean, it's just kind of how we're wired up.
Yeah.
And, there's, we all know there's 1,000 reasons why it's happening the way it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was even talking to somebody the other day, one of our main session speakers for this year, Megan Marshman. Was she telling me? I was on a podcast with her and we were maybe talking about, she was noticing one of the onstage camera people had like pajama pants on, like plaid pajama pants and like real easy to judge that person and the team. And like, oh man, we're letting our standard slip or whatever. And then somebody was like, well, maybe the handheld operator called in sick and they're like, hey, camera one, we need you. We need you on handheld. And like, all right, this is what we get. All that to say, there's a million reasons why stuff happens. And I love our crew and just know that they're doing the best they can. And, sometimes bad, mistakes happen. And I think maybe 2 years ago, something happened and we had lost a mic or something and we're all kind of scurrying around looking for it. And then somebody's like, you got to get up on stage and say something, And so I like to shove a mic in my hand. I'm just like, hey, everybody, we're trying to locate somebody and, just be a minute or whatever. And it was the fun laughs and stuff. And the person who maybe didn't show up on time was mortified and, apologized like crazy. I cannot tell you how many people talked to me after that, just people who are attending like, did you guys plan that on purpose? That was so great. I'm like, no, we didn't plan it on purpose, but I just even love modeling it's no big deal.
Yeah.
And I think it's a challenge with the teams we're working with and the pastors and all that to have enough trust that, when bad things happen, they just kind of roll with it instead of making a huge deal out of it.
When they happen, because they will
when
happen.
They do happen. Yeah, they will happen. Yeah.
It's like, it's one of those things like I kind of love it when I watch some of these bigger churches and they have a problem because it's like, I deal with so many small churches that like think that they have to be perfect. And it's like, oh, we have constant problems. And it's like, you're going to have problems no matter what. It's technology, right? I was like watching Elevation a couple months ago and it was like Steven's headset went out and like someone had to walk up and hand him a handheld. And, it was like,
can church continue?
Right. Well, it's like people would think that's like that on a 100-person church. That's mortifying. They've got 60,000 people watching live, let alone like all the people that will watch that, at some point in time. And it's like that just happens.
Yeah. And I realized too, so Kensington, tons of volunteers working on the production team, mistakes are happening, learning from them, getting better every week or whatever. And then coming to Willow Creek, that most of the key positions were staff people.
Yeah.
And so these are professional audio, that's what they're doing with their lives. And we had mistakes too. Yeah. I'm like, okay, if we have some of the best people on the planet doing this and we're still making mistakes, I guess mistakes happen. Yeah. It's like, you can't stop. You can do your best to prevent them. The ones that are on, that are preventable, like from what we were talking about earlier, like, did you check it? Did you power lock? Did you, all these things, But then at the end of the day, stuff happens. And
Don't keep using the headset that crackles every week. Get a new one.
right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
those are the
simple.
things we can fix, right? Like
Right.
the first
Yeah,
time we hear it,
totally.
we couldn't have known that was going to fail.
Right. Exactly.
But speaking of volunteers, I think this is a question that I've not asked a ton of people, but when I have asked it, I've never really gotten a very good answer. So I'm hoping that you seem like the type of person that would have a really good answer to this.
Okay.
So, when should a volunteer go from a volunteer to becoming a paid volunteer / staff member-ish, type person?
Wow. Good question. I mean, I think part of it is where is the church, and is it time to take another step towards what I would say what you get with a staff person is consistency. That you're raising the level of consistency. You've got somebody who's caring, not caring more, but the hours of their day are spent working towards consistency,
Focused.
and building a team, and building systems and fixing problems. Yeah, they've got the best hours of their day focused on that. And so maybe it's that's the first thing, is what does the church really need in that respect. And then I guess a volunteer becoming a staff person, I've hired a bunch of volunteers, so it's a great indicator of their commitment to the organization, how they feel about what the church is about, and how committed they are to the mission. And I know they know our team and the culture and all that stuff. And so I think there's a lot of great reasons. And I would say that it's not that every church can afford to hire volunteers or have staff people at all, but I think there's we're missing it big time without that. We don't have a better pipeline of volunteers coming through our church. Because I think for me personally, I was a volunteer, became a staff person. I was not, I didn't put my resume out there. I mean, of course, when I was doing it, there were like 5 churches that had a tech person. So it's like, it was different times, but because and then we built a pipeline of people to, okay, we're going to have you serve over here and serve over here. And now, maybe you're ready to be our video director. And okay, now can we pay you for 10 hours a week or 20 or whatever?
Yeah.
That the volunteer pipeline is the answer to a lot of our staffing problems. I would say this isn't really the question you asked, but I think because perfection or excellence masquerading as perfection is what we're shooting for, it's hard to release a lot of the responsibilities to a volunteer to fail and learn from that failure, that we aren't developing people well in that way. And so I just think about back before I started working at Willow, it was so many volunteers. And so you had all these staff people that had been around for 10 years serving in some capacity that then became staff people, and they knew the culture. They knew what the expectations were. They just blended right in. And then the further away we got from volunteers doing everything, the harder it is to, where are we going to find somebody to replace this position? And then I guess from the volunteer standpoint, when do you know it's time for you to make the leap? I guess I would say one of the challenges with it is that I had a full-time job doing something totally non-production to now this is my full-time job. It was a dream come true, frankly. Mm-hmm. What that meant for me was I was doing it 7 days a week because I loved it so much. And I had no other life because originally it was like I had a life, and then after that life was over, I would come to church and volunteer the rest of the time. And so when I became the staff person, I didn't really know what to do with my time other than just be at work. Mm-hmm. And so again, it goes back to kind of me not valuing my time. But at the time, I was engaged to be married, working 7 days a week, and my fiance was unhappy with me. And so I think she did something that really saved our marriage, which was she went and talked to the senior pastor. She was pretty ticked off. And so after a service, she went over to the senior pastor to like read him the riot act about how they're working me too hard. Mm-hmm. And the pastor kind of listened and nodded. And it's like, you know what? Nobody's asking your husband to work this hard. If he can't do it or shouldn't do it, he needs to stand up and say it. But that's on him. And so, yeah, from early on, I realized like, oh, I can't blame this on somebody else. This is my own fault. So I guess I would say, yeah, if you're moving from volunteer to a staff position, just set up some healthy boundaries, get a hobby, that has nothing to do with working at the church. But I think developing volunteers and having them join the church staff, I think is the answer to a lot of the problems that exist. So many churches looking for tech people.
Yeah.
All right. So this is more of like, I guess like for me, like as an integrator, I deal with this all the time when I talk to clients as we start designing systems and starting to kind of walk through the process where, they, obviously, and this isn't small church, this is big church. Everyone does this, right? We want $1 million worth of sound gear, even though we only have, $500,000, in our budget, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people tend to start to like, oh, okay, well, how do we cut money so that we can fit into our budget? And then we end up with all these compromise systems.
Sure.
Because we tried to do that. Do you guys, I know for us, like we try and push people to not have compromise systems and like pick the most important system to you guys and do that completely. When you're advising people, because I'm sure that tons of people are calling you, hey, Todd, we're building a new building. Yeah. What do we
do
need?
A bit of consulting.
A little bit, yeah.
With leadership and technology and
A lot of times, like the tech guy is always going to be like, yeah, of course we need this. Of course we need this, right?
Right.
And you have a non-technical senior pastor who's budgeting and doing, they're the ones that actually are writing the checks, right?
Right.
Trying to get that senior pastor to like kind of understand like what we really need and help them kind of go through that. Like, what's some advice you give to people that are in those types of projects when they're trying to work through that and whatnot? Is that clear? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's really the thing that I would say that's unfortunately stereotypical is that, tech people, we're very laser focused on our part, the thing we know, the thing we're responsible for. Mm-hmm. And I think we're also, people only talk to us when things are going wrong. So we're very control oriented.
Right.
And so we're wanting to control everything. And so I think you get into a building situation or an upgrade or something like that, the tech person's gravitating to, I want to control every ounce of this so that people aren't going to be looking at me. Why isn't this working? And so I think that's a big part of it. I think it's really difficult to then for that person to say, pick one thing that you're going to focus on. Mm-hmm. I know for us, the couple building programs I did, it was always, what can we put in later? Mm-hmm. Like what's structural, infrastructure, that sort of thing. And what's, if I put this speaker up next year, I could put a different one up, if I had to.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's sort of how I talk to people. Like, what are you going to wish you had that you can't go back and do, and make sure that's in place. I know for me, the campus, the church that I go to, they focused on the PA. That was where they put all their money. So lighting's pretty bad. And those are all lighting fixtures that we could replace. We could replace those later. Well, they still cost money, and the lighting seems adequate enough. So, we've been living with them for 5 years or something. It's amazing in the world of LED that we live in, like how radical like a straight up source 4 ellipsoidal, like that color temperature. It's like you forget that it exists until the message starts at my church.
There's that orange.
Oh my gosh, that orange.
We have an Oompa Loompa as a pastor.
Yeah, right. I forgot that was still a color temperature that existed. Yeah. But I agree with you that, and so the challenge is, how do you convince the tech person to like give up in certain areas?
Yeah.
And how do you, because I mean, we've been talking about it, like the senior pastor has no idea what's going on technically.
Right.
If they did, they would be the tech person. That's why the tech person's there. So a lot of times, if there's not a good trust built there, then that the struggle that you're experiencing will exist, because the senior pastor still doesn't know what's going on, but is trying to make a budget decision, and the tech person's maybe not being as helpful as they could be. Or I find they're so young and maybe inexperienced that it's hard to, I would imagine from your perspective, it's like what you're asking for is not, no, you don't need that. That specific console or whatever. But
honestly, I've had that more from older people than younger people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They want an analog console instead of a.
No, a lot of times, like I had a client, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. It was an older congregation, and like they wanted an LED wall so badly. Okay. And then I was like, that doesn't make sense for what you're doing. Like they had like a 6,000 lumen bulb projector that hadn't been, like the bulbs hadn't been replaced on it in like 5,000 hours. It was like, shooting through a sheet, not even a screen. And
it's in the balcony.
Yeah. And it's like, well, you don't need to spend $50,000 on an LED wall. Like we could get you, like a 12,000 lumen, laser projector. Right. And this is going to like blow your guys' mind. And it's, it's like $15,000. And they're like, well, we really kind of like the look of that LED wall. And I'm like, yeah, but I talked him out of it. So but yeah.
So could we switch to talking about Philo a little bit? Or
sure.
Did you have more?
I had one more. Can I ask my last question? Yeah, so there's a section in your book called Plan B. And I think that comes into a lot of the tech questions. I think I'm trying to remember, it's been a while since I've read the book. And by read the book, I mean listen to you read it to me.
Oh, yeah.
I think you talked about having like spares on the shelf for certain things. How do you make the decision to get a spare of something, and then how do you make the decision of what you're going to get a spare of, and at what point do you start to do that at?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is money is always an issue, and so if having a spare light fixture, moving light or whatever, maybe I can't afford that, but that was something at Willow Creek we were always trying to do, like have one more of these ready to go. But I think the other part of it is what's a critical system. So like if your LED wall have some extra tiles, extra bulbs for your projector, stuff like that are maybe more mission critical. I have a spare mic, in the front row, just in case something bad happens, that sort of thing. I think having a plan B or a spare is a conversation with leadership also. So we used to double mic people so let me back up. So when I was working at Willow Creek, wired lav, that's what we used for the message. So they dragged that whole cable out, and anybody
and that was speaker's preference, as I understand.
Yep, that was at the time Bill Hybels, the senior pastor. That was his preference. Which, I mean, to his credit, he was like, this is my home. This is where I feel most comfortable, and I don't want to be thinking about anything else. And so I know this works. It's what I'm comfortable with. And from my perspective,
that's
my boss.
That was wired, or that it was
wired.
a lav?
Wired. Yeah.
He wanted it wired, not all wireless.
Yep. Correct.
Okay.
So, and you're also talking about the 90s, the early 2000s. Like, I mean, Chicago's full of RF problems. And so, and we always joked he must have had like a metal plate in his head, because every time he would have a wireless something, it would not work. Everybody worked for everybody else.
I have seen him on wireless before. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, if he goes to somebody else, somewhere else, he'll just use whatever mic, they gave him.
But I think during the GLS he was on wireless a bit, but
no.
No? Okay.
No.
Okay. You're the
Oh
man.
no. Yeah, right. But the reality was then we would, anytime somebody wanted to use a wireless lav for a message, we would double mic them.
Oh.
And that was because of the value of, we can't distract for 1 second. And so if one starts, whatever, you can just switch to the other one and nobody knows the difference. And I think that was a leadership decision to say we're going to have that kind of a backup system in place. I think if we're up to, if we're me making the decision and I said, oh, we need 2 wireless mics, and that costs twice as much to do that the leadership would say, you know what, I'm okay with a little RF noise, no problem. Just if we can have a handheld come up fast, that would be great. Then okay, that becomes our backup instead of something that I had manufactured. So a lot of the Plan B stuff that we would have in my days at Willow Creek were born out of leadership decisions, not just my own personal preference. But it was, the thing is, like, Plan B doesn't always, it's not always enough. But I think I also talk about in the book, like having a plan C, D, E, F, G. Like, I think you can waste a lot of money and energy and thought and, spreadsheet space on coming up with too many backup plans.
Yeah.
I think it's just to me, it's all about what does leadership know and expect, and what can we, this is plan A, this is plan B. If plan C happens, we're tossing a wired handheld up, from the front row or something. Yeah. But that it's a conversation, that you're just not having with yourself, and what matters to you, but what matters to the leadership as well.
I've wanted to ask, like, sarcastically again, ask, like, there's so many points where it's like, and this is why there's Philo.
Yeah.
Like, where would I have learned this? At Philo. Like, I cannot plug Philo enough. I'm constantly plugging it. Because I think for me personally, I may not be getting so much technically from it nowadays.
Sure, yeah.
But, like, just the reiteration of all these, like, leadership values. Like, we're technical artists, but it's like, I think at the point you're a technical artist leader.
I think for me, like, is so funny, like, and I love that I can look back and see growth in myself, because it's like, it's not very often you can do that. And I remember the first time I went to Philo, it was like, I wasn't 101, right? But like, I knew that I wasn't a pro yet. And when I like went to Philo, I was like, I'm like, I already know all this. Like, this was kind of pointless. But now that now that I'm working with other people, I'm like, I now so see the value in that like, not everyone worked at a mega church, and had all the expectations that I had, and had the abilities that, that I had from the church, feeding us that. And so I tell so many people to go to Philo. Yeah. Like, you guys got to watch it. You got to listen to the podcast. You got to do all this stuff, because it's like, you got to read this book, right? It's just, there's just so much of it that's so good. So
thank you guys.
Yeah. Well, no. We wanted to say thank you, Todd. Like, honestly.
I know it's like the 5th time we said thank you, but like, it genuinely is like such a big deal. Like, we've been gushing over you for a while now.
Thank you. I mean, you know what? It's so much of what Philo is just born out of my own experience as a tech person, and the things I wish I had, or the things I really benefited from early on. And even now, it's like, I'm maybe in a different boat now. Like, if I went to some of the breakouts, I'd be like, wow, I didn't know any of this. Just because I'm less in touch with the, what the ins and outs of a system at church, because I'm not doing it as regularly. But so much of it is about being together, to feel like you're not alone, that you're not crazy, that, oh, they're doing it the same way we are. Well, I guess it's not stupid. I can't tell you how many. I had some people, I guess you could say they were on speed dial, or my favorites, that I would call back in the mid 90s at a couple mega churches, Willow Creek being one of them. And I'd be like, what do you do about this? Like, oh, well, we do this and that, and we tried this, and we're still experimenting. or they'd say, "Oh, we have no idea how that, we struggle with that too." I'm like, "Oh, dang. Okay, yeah. So this is just normal."
Yeah.
I think some of those things were so valuable for me, and I think, I mean, I'll admit to you guys that, some of the technology stuff and the learning and the breakouts, like, you can almost learn that stuff anywhere. And I appreciate that we're making an opportunity to, like, maybe you don't have to reinvent the wheel at your church. You can learn
Yeah.
okay, Gateway Church does it this way, and their guy is here talking about it at Philo. I love that.
Yeah.
But I think what I love most about the Philo conference experience is maybe it's the van ride with your team,
Oh yeah.
the hanging out in the lobby together at the church, at your
Yep.
hotel, or going out to dinner together, or you get
One
to
of the after parties.
you get to experience something with your team outside of the pressure cooker of the weekend.
Interesting.
I love that. And for us, the main sessions are all about, more about personal growth or your relationship with Christ, or these things that really matter that have nothing to do with production.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we're just hopefully creating an environment where, okay, you get to sit in a seat and receive this, and you don't have to work it. You don't have to worry about the graphics coming up at the right time.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to, like, shut it off at some point yourself. That's on you. But we just want you to become a better human being at the end of this. And I mean, to go back to your church, if you brought your team, and to have inside jokes and, "Oh, remember that time we did that thing?" And I mean, just so valuable. And yeah, hopefully we learned something along the way, made a connection with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've done all of that. So
Yeah.
again, I just cannot
Awesome.
speak highly enough of it. And it's also in Chicago. It's one of the greatest cities ever. I want to give you a chance to, like, kind of give us a preview of this year,
Sure.
if you're able to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you've just said it all. Like, I mean, it is community. I've talked with people and then met them face to face at Philo. I've met people at Philo and then continued conversations with them after. And just being able to walk up to instructors and
You get to see that waterfall.
only if you go to the lower level, but
Yeah.
or have what you guys always pub out, like,
waterfall.
Portillo's too, or deep dish pizzas, but whatever. That's
right.
That's a Chicago thing.
Yeah. I think it's May 6th and 7th. It's at Willow Creek, which is in South Barrington, Illinois. So that's the northwest side. Easy access to the airport, maybe 20 minutes from O'Hare. We have got our main session speakers lined up. So Megan Marshman, who's spoken before, she actually first time was at Anaheim when we did it there. So we don't have great, huge budgets. So, like, finding speakers is always a challenge. And so she lives in Long Beach. We're in Anaheim. Like, you just got to drive over, Megan. It's like the easiest. So she came and spoke, and she's the greatest. Really looking forward to her. She just came out with a book called Relaxed, which is just about the premise is that Jesus was relaxed. He was not worried about how this is all going to shake out. He was living life from a relaxed place. Anyway, it's a fascinating book. I mean, there's, like, a lot of amazing stuff there. So she's coming to do that. Just before this, I was on a call with Todd Henry, who is an author and a former creative producer at Crossroads Church in Cincinnati. And so he does a lot of teaching around, like, leading creative teams and that sort of thing. And so he's going to talk about bravery, the bravery habit, which I'm really excited about as something, that I wish I had more of when I was a younger production person. Brian Taylor, so he's a worship leader, pastor. And so, he's sort of one of us in a way, and looking forward to him coming to teach. Delwyn's coming back, leading the same band. I mean, I think the couple of guys in that band have done every Philo that we've had a band. And I love those guys and ladies. I just love his on one hand, he's really good at coming up with a plan and then changing the plan in the last minute. So that's usually a challenge for the production team. But I just love that he's paying attention to, the Holy Spirit moving and making changes on the fly. So, yeah, I love that.
Because there are some really sweet and tender moments at Philo.
Yeah.
You guys do a great job of leaving space and letting space for that. So.
Yeah. I mean, I just keep waiting I'm always amazed when they happen, and you know that God is present, and that you could feel there's something you can feel, and I just keep waiting for it to, like, I don't know how it happens. It's God moving. It's not something we're manufacturing, and that's my biggest prayer every year. Like, God, show up. I mean, we made a lot of plans, but if you don't show up, then it's all kind of pointless. Yeah.
You want to talk about cohorts?
Oh, dang. Sure.
We can, yeah.
I think those are important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So cohorts. Yeah. So FILO cohorts, basically, it's for just ease of explanation. It's like a small group for tech people. So it's usually 10 people with a leader, people from all over. I mean, I've led a couple of them. We had a guy in Hawaii and 2 guys in Germany in the same cohort. So
that's dope.
The Hawaii guys waking up real early, and the Germany guys are staying up really late. We go through my book is kind of the 101 level, just a conversation starter. But a lot of it is just checking in with each other and learning about each other. And the crazy part about guys from Germany and a guy from Hawaii is that they have the same challenges. They have the same challenges as anybody else. The German guys are portable church, and they got a couple campuses, and I mean, and the senior pastor doesn't totally get it. I mean, it's just like same story everywhere. And so it's been, I would say, from an impact standpoint, it's the favorite thing that we do, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, discipleship, the act of discipleship is a long game, and is one-on-one and small. And so it's not like we have, thousands of people in cohorts, but to me, it feels like the most important work we do, because I think there's something great about the conference that's undeniable, but to have something that's ongoing and continuous, and being able to trust a group of other people that get you. I mean, we've had a couple of all female cohorts, and there's a part of, like, as men doing cohorts or doing production, we feel misunderstood and not seen by the people around us. But most of the people doing production are men. And so for these women to feel like an extra layer of unseen, and to be able to get in a group and talk about it, and encourage each other and pray for each other. I mean, it's the best. So we have the 101, which is going through a few chapters in the book there. And then we just started a 201 this past year, which is, we're going through the book, How to Lead When You're Not in Charge by Clay Scroggins, who was a speaker at Philo. And so that there's a little more in depth. It's a little bit longer sessions, more weeks, deeper dive into the book. I don't know that I'm allowed to say this, but I'll say it anyway. We're talking about a 301 level potential retreat idea. So, chance for people to get away for a few days and just totally disconnect in a cohort kind of setting. So, that's pretty cool.
West Michigan's a great spot.
Actually, looking at West Michigan,
Nice.
Yeah, and I guess too, one of you mentioned it. The thing of just bouncing back to the Philo conference, we stream everything. So we stream main sessions and all the breakouts, so you can attend everything. And one of my other favorite things we do is we have a partnership with the Global Leadership Network, which is they do an event called the Global Leadership Summit in August at Willow Creek, but then they broadcast it throughout the year around the world. So small groups of people rewatching the summit. And so we have a partnership with them to train all the tech people at all those sites around the world. So we have people from Africa and Asia and Australia, Europe, South America, Central America, all joining Philo. And I just love that we get to all be together. And, there's a group in India, they stay up all night to participate.
Yep.
Which I love that.
Yeah.
I think I've seen them because I have attended a few times on the stream, and
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is
see
all
them show
over
up in the
world.
chat group or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're huge in Brazil too. So they keep asking, when are you coming to Brazil? I'm like, oh, good question. I don't know. Watch the stream in the
Watch
meantime.
the stream. That's cool.
Yeah.
People want to reach out to you directly. How can they find you? How can they talk to you?
The best way is on Instagram. I'm _ Todd Elliott. So you can DM me there. Philo.org is our website. Todd@philo.org is my email address. So if you want to get to me, that's the way to do it. Our goal kind of is, maybe I said it already, we want to equip and encourage technical artists around the world. And the goal is as many as possible. We want, because I feel like, and hopefully this doesn't take too long. We spent a lot of energy trying to flip the narrative for the technical artists, for individuals to say, think differently about how you do your job and how you fit into this, and be a positive influence where you are, become more effective as a person, in your world. And then the other part of it is really wanting to start to flip the script on how churches view this role, and think differently about how they develop them, and encourage them to be more than they are. And so that's really, as we're sort of moving into 2025, that's a lot of what I'm praying for, that, okay, we can have some influence over the tech person because they're our audience, but how can we tip the church culture, on its head, so that these people don't feel misunderstood and unseen, but thriving and a part of, an integrated part of the body of Christ.
Yeah. Do everything as if you're doing it unto the Lord.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I always try and tell people when it's like, everything means everything. Right. And that includes us in the technical world. So
yeah.
Did you say, you looked like you had something to say?
No.
Oh,
just thank you, and we might have to have him back, because
I'd do it. Yeah.
We gotta. I mean, like, even just a send off, it's like, oh, we can just talk on this for another 30 minutes.
I mean, I literally, as I was sitting there listening to the book, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, we could talk about this. We could talk about this. We could talk about this. Like, I started taking, I was literally listening while driving, and I was like trying to take dictation notes, and my phone couldn't understand half of what I was saying. So I'm trying to navigate through and trying to reinterpret what I was trying to write down.
Yeah.
And I only got through the first 2 chapters again.
Yeah, that's funny.
I have to read one of them because it's hilarious. The dictation is so bad.
But you were for several weeks, you were like, oh, we should do this could be a topic. We gotta talk about this. We were almost gonna do a series of podcasts.
I was like, you know what? I'm like, we're just gonna steal your book, and then we're just gonna make podcasts based off this book.
Do it. Yeah, I love it.
So here's one of the texts for the book where you talked about the underlying Buter news. Talk about my experience with worship leaders. I'm just there to push talking.
Deep.
I'm like,
oh man,
it's like talking to my 2-year-old.
Getting every other word.
Yeah,
that is actually what it is. Talking Siri sometimes.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. I sat down, I'm like, oh crap. I'm like, now I'm gonna have to go back into the book and figure out what I was talking about.
Those look that sounds like my college notes. What did I write here?
Yeah.
Hey, technology is great until it doesn't work properly, and then you spend more time trying to figure out what you were trying to do.
Yep.
But
So
well,
good.
Todd, we do really appreciate it. I know we've said it a bunch of times, but like, yeah, it is a great honor having you here. We thank you so much for taking the time and chatting with
my
us.
pleasure.
Man, it feels like it's been forever. We had this great interview with Todd Elliott, and it was so long ago because we've been so busy and it's been so hard to get this out that Philo has already come and gone. And we actually recorded this interview before Philo happened for 2025. So it was such a great honor to meet with Todd. He's been such a influential member of our church AV community, and it was just really great to be able to finally like sit down, interact, and like kind of pick his brain and talk with him. We really enjoyed it, and it was great. We did fanboy a little bit, so hopefully that doesn't come across too strong. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button, comment down below what your favorite part was, and if there's something you want us to talk to, also comment that down below as well.